In the last match, Lexi Hull suffered a really gory knot in the center of her forehead. You know, they actually performed a scan. Lexi Hull is scheduled to perform in Los Angeles tomorrow. The coaching and training staff of the Indiana Fever have my utmost ire. She appears to have been in a 12-round boxing match. It's really physical in this league. For a long time, Lexi has been in a league. It's not doing too well. This is crazy, but I wish it were a filter. This is how it seems. The Indiana Fever recently experienced 2 incidents that stunned the WNBA community during a season full of drama. A few days after the headbutt with Gabby Williams, Lexi Hull was seen. She appears to have been in a 12-round boxing match. After suffering a terrifying injury, Lexi Hull appeared to have been through 12 rounds of a boxing match. But she wasn't going to give up. However, the fact that she is warming up with the club is a real plus for the Indiana Fever in the long run. It implies that Caitlin Clark will most likely return sooner rather than later. The league was rocked by Caitlin Clark's incredible comeback to the court, just when fans thought things couldn't get any more bizarre. When fans discuss toughness in the WNBA, they typically mention the big names and stars that make the headlines. However, if I were to show you a picture of the entire Indiana Fever, I would ask, who in this picture is the toughest? She has repeatedly demonstrated to us that she is an absolute beast, to borrow a metaphor. However, in recent days, the focus of discussion has switched to a single player who displayed a distinct kind of greatness. Lexi Hull is that player. We will start by revisiting the game versus Minnesota, where Kayla McBride made the decision to elbow Lexi. A horrible play. It began against the Minnesota Lynx, as I mentioned. As usual, Lexi was tuned in on defense, sprinting for every possession, fighting through screens and challenging shots. I'm going to examine it. That's why I'm on hold in Indiana. That is a technicality, though. That dead ball contact is technical. It was difficult to see. Suddenly, Caleb McBride's elbow made a direct contact with her jaw. Players couldn't later dismiss this as an accident. Hull was left collapsed on the floor, her legs folding under her, after a purposeful shot. An elbow was thrown at her. You'll also notice that I did not say inadvertent elbow, because I did intentionally elbow her mouth. Her jaw might have been fractured. Thankfully, she didn't. She folds her leg beneath her. She falls to the ground with a thud. She stands up, holds her face for a moment, then returns to the competition. Fans and teammates feared the worst for a few tense seconds. A concussion, a shattered jaw. That could have been the end of her season. However, she stood up, held her face, and immediately resumed her competition in typical Lexi Hull flair. You could tell everything about her mindset from that one moment. According to the video, however, Gabby and I just happened to cross paths, which is regrettable and unlucky. We both continued to play, so it's okay. I believe we both have knots in our skulls. The narrative didn't end there, though. Disaster struck once more in the game against the Seattle Storm a few days later. This time, it was just plain bad luck, not nefarious play. It's really physical in this league. Lexi has been a member of the league for a long time. She is essentially accustomed to it. It demonstrates her character and her fierceness as a warrior, in my opinion. Bro, Lexi is a fighter. She could probably give it as well as she can take it, in my opinion. Additionally, I support Lexi's status as an Indiana Fever Girl warrior. Lexi and Gabby Williams met head-on while Lexi was chasing a loose ball. It was a horrible impact. She had to go through the concussion protocol after leaving the court. Finn is listening to this, guys, because she mentioned that the swelling was actually in her field of view. Did you catch a glimpse of the video board? Did you look at it, for example? No, it was visible to me watching, as though I could see it with my own eyes. I therefore didn't have to search. I was aware that it would be significant. No, you may see it in the corner of your eye. Indeed. Indeed. Literally, it was like protruding. Even though it's still large here, I could see it was larger. As a result, they somewhat lowered it. The immediate aftermath was captured on camera. A huge lump appeared on her forehead. She claimed that it was so large that she could actually see it in her peripheral vision. On TV, viewers referred to it as one of the scariest things they had witnessed this season. Since it's not performing well, it's hilarious that you asked that. If only there were a filter. But this is crazy, I must say. This is my appearance. Yes, the knot is kind of gone, but I've been wearing these glasses all day. I still feel a little puffy. And if you thought the knot looked terrible, it looked considerably worse the following morning. 2 dark, bulging black eyes were all that was left after the swelling subsided. Her visage was featured in viral photos. She appears to have been in a 12-round boxing match. I have to admit, people, if I see Lexi in her entirety with 2 black eyes, holy smokes. What an amazing sight. Running out there, 2 black eyes clenched, was Lexi Hull. If only there were a filter. Oh, that's not true. Reporters made jokes about how she appeared to have gone through 12 rounds with either Clarissa Shields or Mike Tyson. In an attempt to lighten the mood, Lexi herself said, "I wish this was a filter, but it wasn't. It was real." Despite appearing to have just left a boxing ring, she was already getting ready for the next match. "I assume you were examined for face fractures and concussions on Tuesday. To what extent did the fact that you had no facial fractures or concussions bring you relief?" "Yes. To be honest, I was relieved when it happened because I felt like I was ready to go. Like I was totally in tune with it." After completing all the necessary tests, they immediately applied ice to try to reduce the swelling. But knowing that it could have been far worse made me feel wonderful. Additionally, I appreciate that folks are reaching out to me online to see how I'm doing, but I'm fine. I've had a thorough examination. This is the noteworthy aspect. There were no facial fractures or concussions shown by scans. Lexi was allowed to play even though she appeared to have been in combat. Lexi isn't wired that way, but most players would have taken a rest. I mean, if I feel like I can play if I can play. The issue isn't whether I look good or not, Therefore, I believe that the team is the most crucial factor. Attaining victory is the most essential thing, and I will do my best to help if I can. Therefore, it is what it is if it is playing a little hurt or injured. She joked with teammates about makeup artists concealing the damage, laughed about having to cover the bruises for a photo shoot, and immediately returned to her work. She dismissed questions about her toughness by saying, "If I can play, I'll play." She didn't just play though, she played hard. In the end, she pulled in 9 rebounds during that game. She once swooped across to pursue anything: the ball, someone's defense, or something else. I kept saying, "Give me a bunch of Lexus on a team." During that same stretch, Lexi pulled down 9 rebounds in a single game, threw herself on the floor for loose balls, and never once shied away from contact. I was like, because I'm like, all I'm seeing is another head coming in her direction. She was fighting, chewing gum, and laughing as if nothing had happened, despite having 2 black eyes. Steph said, she always smiles when she sees you with the 2 black eyes because it just shows how tough you are. Do these 2 black eyes make you feel tough in these kinds of situations? That's what I keep hearing after all. "I'm so sorry," she says every time she sees me, and I respond, "You don't need to be sorry. This is what it is." Well, when I'm playing, I seem to forget about it, so I go and check myself in the mirror. That's why her instructor, Stephanie White, couldn't help but smile when she saw Lexi. I'm like, "Oh, they're still there." She described it as the epitome of roughness, the sort of grime that motivates a whole locker room. Although box scores are a topic of much discussion among fans, Lexi Hull gives Indiana something that is incalculable: heart. She doesn't gripe. She is not a failure. She simply plays through her agony rather than begging for calls. Yes. As it turned out, Wednesday was our off day, and I had a photo shoot. It was tragic. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to look horrible. At first, I thought, I just need to get the swelling in my forehead to go down. So I applied a patch, slept with it the following day, and when I woke up, I thought, okay, the bump is almost gone, but now I have 2 black eyes. Unfortunately, it will no longer be able to conceal it at this time. People are aware, so just go with the flow. Was it possible for you to conceal it? Because the makeup artist did an incredibly wonderful job, and people who had never met you before said, "Oh, I can't even tell." I said, okay, that's good. We'll take it. However, I'm hoping that they will modify it in the post. And she demonstrated to them what a true warrior looks like at a time when the fever most required resilience. The injury to Lexi Hull was frightening. The bruising appeared vicious. However, it turned into a symbol and a reminder that this Indiana Fever team would not give up, no matter how difficult things become. Yes, exactly. Yes. I'm like, I know I looked insane, But it honestly looks better now than it did when it first happened. Everyone is saying, "You look beautiful." I'm hoping this goes away quickly. She game. While Lexi Hull was proving her toughness, Indiana Fever fans were given a moment they had been desperately waiting for: the shocking return of Caitlin Clark. For weeks, speculation swirled about her groin injury. Some said she should sit out the rest of the season. Others claimed she wasn't close to being ready. The noise only grew louder when big names like Lisa Leslie even suggested Clark should shut it down. They're going to be playing, this game tonight, and they've got 3 games then, and there's a good chance it's 3 free hits, because, realistically, does it really matter if you play the Aces or the Dream? I don't think so. I'd rather play the Dream, because I just think we match up better to the Dream, but, I don't think there's that much of a difference in level between those 2 teams. I think it's a realistically makes no odds which of these you're playing. I think they're going to give you the same. So, as long as we don't end up facing the Minnesota Lynx, who, by the way, the Minnesota Lynx has blew a 21-point lead against the Seattle Storm. They are a team that if they get cold, you can get them in 1 game, and all you have to do is do that twice out of 3. Like in a best of 3 against the Lynx, Indiana would be hoping that one of the 3 games they get hot, and one of the 3 games the Lynx get cold, and then you can win a best of 3 series. But Caitlin Clark isn't built that way. She's a competitor, a leader, and above all, she lives to play basketball. And then it happened. During pregame warm-ups, fans spotted her stretching with the team, going through routines, moving with intensity. It was the first clear sign that she wasn't done, not even close. The Fever's training staff had run the scans, and they showed no major damage. At worst, it was a minor strain. That meant no career-threatening risk, no long-term danger. But the fact that she's warming up with the team is a legitimately huge positive for the Indiana Fever long-term. It means Caitlin Clark is probably coming back soonish. And if you guys are wondering when soonish is, it's in the regular season. In the regular season is my assumption for when Caitlin Clark's coming back. And I think a lot of you guys will be probably in agreement with that Caitlin Clark is probably going to be coming back in the regular season. And we can't complain about that. Look, if Caitlin Clark comes back in the regular season, Caitlin wasn't just sitting on the sidelines. She was ramping up, preparing, and waiting for the green light to take the floor. When she finally stepped onto the court again, it sent shockwaves through the arena. That was hard to see. She got hit with an elbow. And notice I did not say an inadvertent elbow, because it was absolutely a deliberate elbow to her jaw. Could have broken her jaw. Thank God she did not. Her leg folds underneath her. She crashes to the floor. But more than her skill, it's her mentality that lifts Indiana. She doesn't just return to the court. She returns with a fire, reminding everyone that she's not here to be careful. She's here to compete. For Fever fans, seeing Caitlin Clark back in action felt bigger than just one player's comeback. It was hope. It was belief. It was a reminder that no matter how tough the season gets, Indiana has a superstar who refuses to quit. Yeah, Lexi's playing with 2 black eyes. Hopefully they put some makeup on it because she will be on TV. But that is serious, bro. Somebody said, "This is real." Oh yeah, that's definitely real. Somebody said, "What the F?" I've had clashes to the head, bangs on the head through collision in sports, but never come out like that. Looks like she done 12 rounds with AT. While Lexi Hull was proving her toughness, Indiana Fever fans were given a moment they had been desperately waiting for: the shocking return of Caitlin Clark. For weeks, speculation swirled about her groin injury. Some said she should sit out the rest of the season. Others claimed she wasn't close to being ready. Here, as a godsend, the CC brand has delivered the WNBA into a marketable league with new fans, higher expectations that only want to see the highest level of the game of basketball. The noise only grew louder when big names like Lisa Leslie even suggested Clark should shut it down. But Caitlin Clark isn't built that way. She's a competitor, a leader, and above all, she lives to play basketball. When Caitlin Clark became injured, it tremendously affected the economy and the revenue of 1, the state of Indiana, 2, the United States sports apparel market, 3, the actual viewership of the fans. And then it happened. During pre-game warm-ups, fans spotted her stretching with the team, going through routines, moving with intensity. It was the first clear sign that she wasn't done, not even close. The Fever's training staff had run the scans, and they showed no major damage. I looked at it now to tell you the WNBA sits in a golden opportunity position. This position can be owned, can be marketed, and can be delivered to the families of America that are willing and able to support the WNBA. The message is simple. Just play basketball. At worst, it was a minor strain. That meant no career-threatening risk, no long-term danger. Caitlin wasn't just sitting on the sidelines. She was ramping up, preparing, and waiting for the green light to take the floor. When she finally stepped onto the court again, it sent shockwaves through the arena. Yeah, it is a funny one. People are like, oh, there's actually 4 out-of-season injury and ending injuries. If you're talking being honest about Clark, Caitlin Clark's coming back. The energy was different. The fans were louder. The team carried themselves with a new sense of belief because, let's be honest, Caitlin Clark isn't just another player. She's the heartbeat of the Fever. And she's the player every fan, every coach, every opponent comes to see shutting down a player because of niggling groin issues that just won't go away without any major actual injury when she has an sigh. 8-man break starting very soon makes no sense. Analysts call her the WNBA's economy for a reason. When she was sidelined, ticket sales dipped, ratings slumped, and even the national conversation around the league quieted. Not with the fact that they would have to lose every single game for the rest of the season, and you're never going to get players on board to do that. You can tank, as in, you can tell your coach to do whatever. But the second she returned, everything flipped. Arenas filled up again. Viewership climbed. The Fever weren't just another team anymore. They were must-watch basketball once more. That's, yeah. Everyone's like, you look beautiful. I was like, I know I look insane, but it honestly looks better now than it did when it first happened. So, hopefully this goes down quick. So she was all like, honestly, it looked better now than what it did in the game. What makes this return even more shocking is the timing. Most rookies would have taken the safe route, sitting out and waiting for next season. Caitlin Clark chose the opposite. She knew her teammates needed her leadership, her scoring, and her ability to create plays that no one else in the league can. Adidas does not have a stronghold position today. Candace Parker is the director of grassroots with Adidas, so she takes a shot at Angel Ree, who's with Reebok. It's as simple as it is. It's about marketing and strategy and what players know. And as Candace Parker rightfully deserved, her number was retired. Instead of thinking about next year, she focused on right now. And right now, the Fever needed her. Her presence alone changes everything. Now, that's what I'm telling y'all. Man, Lexi Hull is a warrior.